What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, Season 22, Episode 15. So in this episode, Luffy's group ends up in the treasure, like the treasure room of the castle. Basically, all the treasure chests are empty, so all treasure's gone. Nami is pissed off about that, obviously, and Luffy's like, "It's not a treasure room; it's a treasure box roof." And but the key to Loki's change is still there. And Gabon says, "Yeah, even like villains don't want to free Loki because that's how much he's feared." So Gabon grabs the key and tells Luffy, take it. Like he basically tells him he tells Luffy that if he wants the key, he has to basically fight him for it. So yeah, so Luffy challenges Gabon. He what like basically Gabon's able to go at like he's able to like uh handle Luffy pretty easily for now. So and yeah, which makes sense. He was worked for Roger, so of course. So yeah, you see him, like the Bonfire Zoro tries to help, but and yeah, but then Luffy transforms into his Gear 5 form, and so Gabon remembers Thanks telling him about like about about Luffy, and Gabon's like, how do I know if I could trust him? And Shang's like, eh, fair enough. Do what you wish. So yeah, so that fight happens. The visuals for which are freaking awesome. I mean, the visuals for that fight are like really good. Like it is like very fascinating. Gabon comments when he sees Luffy's try, he says it looks better on him than the helmet does. And Gabon jokingly calls Shanks a cheapskate for basically loaning Luffy the hat, since he basically thinks Luffy wasn't actually truly given the hat, which might imply that maybe Luffy truly gets the hat. Yeah, and then um after that, once you know Gabon sees Gear 5, uh, he basically is like, all right, surrender. Like he's basically like, yeah, I surrender now. And Zoro and Luffy are like, what the heck? So basically, Gabon's testing Luffy. Like he was testing, like so he obviously he knows a lot more probably than he lets on. I don't know. Based on the manga, it's hard to say how much he knows about Emu, but he does probably know about Joy Boy and like Gear 5 is. So then what I was going so in the giant kids they see a weird looking bird, and Angie's like Angie the teacher's like um birds aren't that rare, and the kids are like, no, does this bird? He's like, no, this bird looks a little weird. So on that bird, basically it's something that Gunko made for her and Shamrock to ride, and Gunko creates a magic circle and summons Saint Somers of the Shepherd family and Saint Killingham of the Rima Shifu family. Now, none of those two were expecting to be summoned, Somers was like sitting on his couch, so his couch someone too, and he was like his boxers or whatever. So he has to get his clothes on. And Killingham was like wearing some like a mask or whatever. Did you like get a rush? And then they first think they're on Mary Jo, then they learn they're on Elbath, that which is pretty funny. And Shamrock, he asked why two or something because he only asked for one. Killingham says it's because Shamrock's needed back on Mary Jo because of what all's happened since the reverie. And and then Somers asks Shamrock what's going on. Shamrock explains it. And so basically, they're like abduct giant kids. That's what they're there for. So, you know, and one thing that's interesting is that Gabon doesn't want Road to reveal his identity to Luffy. You know, and Gabon tells Luffy to see him again once Elbaf is like safe, whatever. Like if Elbaf's still standing after Straw Hats leave. And then yeah, the fight's about to start. On Elbaf. It's gonna be interesting. See how it goes. Hopefully we see more of the fight because with the manga, obviously since we're doing one chapter per episode, we might be able to see more of the fights, which would be nice because like what Wano was able to do with someone like the fights involving like the side characters, they expand upon those and did really well. So I think we will see some of that will probably happen here with a lot of fights in Elbaf, so that should be cool. So yeah, I thought this was a great episode. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi, chapter 101. So in this chapter, so there's a flashback to 10 years ago where you have, Sakaki and talking with Misogi and me and so Misogi tells Sagi to like inherit her crossbow in position to not tell anyone about Kiyoshi. She says she'll raise Kiyoshi, so now so then Flash goes back to the present, so Kiyoshi and Mishagi are about to like spar and and so they sparred and put all these powerful attacks because like Misaki was once like the most powerful exorcist. So then they do all their attacks. Basically, they have similar moves because Misaki taught Kiyoshi a lot of like his techniques that he knows. So yeah. So then they fight and then Misaki's like kind of taunts him, saying asking if Kiyoshi are done fighting because she hasn't even finished a cigarette. So Kiyoshi puts out the cigarette, says, and he's like, "Yeah, smoking's bad for you, so I put out your cigarette." So then, then Sphinx is like, is like, "You've come a long way, so happy," and because he's like, "Really?" And then basically takes opportunity when Kiyoshi's like, not like has his guard down, just punch him straight in the face to the ground. And Miski's like, she's like, I win because you fight dirty. So then, you know, Jack Joe's like, wait, if you're that strong, you could have helped out the Black Parade. And Miska says, it wasn't her place to step in. Plus, she's cursed to not be able to set foot off the mountain. And then Leslie says, she's fine. She's got internet, and she says, her knees are taken over by her hair milliers. Basically, what it is, she takes one of her hairs, blows onto it, and creates like some creature, or whatever that serves her. Yeah, basically, it was a technique that Kiyoshi could never do well, but then Akari tries it and does pretty well with it. Yeah, because she has control over she has a lot of control over her preset power. And Mitsuki says she's gonna give Akari some special training later. So then they go back to the house and talk about some of the tattoos that are like that she's had, like basically there's the 777 one. Yeah. Basically it was supposed to be like 666, but then like she put a 771 because like it's the same tattoo as Solomon's, and Kiyoshi's actually able to handle that kind of power now. So, and Kiyoshi asked why did Mitsuki put that tattoo on him, and Mitsuki says because that that tattoo could exorcise even Rushihara, who's still it's like, and Kiyoshi shockingly hears the name, and Akari's scared when she hears that name, and Mitsuki explains that Rushihara is the demon that killed Kiyoshi's parents 10 years before. And Akari asks, wondering like, didn't Rushihara lose like his power? Mitsuki says it's actually the official story made up to not have people panic. But basically, all Mitsuki was able to do was buy time. But Rushihara is about to revive and will basically then try to kill Kiyoshi. So that's how the chapter ends. So they're setting up the next fight. So that's like was like the last of the three great demon lords. So we'll see how that fight goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. I liked how they're setting up the what probably will be like the final arc. I'm betting. That's one bad thing. It's like once the third demon lord's done, I don't think there's gonna be very good. So yeah, interesting how this demon lord is. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi The Witch, chapter 9-1. So in this chapter, Amaduro wants to be deployed again for have one last magic hunt before Sans is passed on to her for what she did when mind controlled by Fujimine. And basically the one she's trying to target is Hakari, which was the magic she was battling when Fujimine ambushed her, and Hakari's one of the 7 stars. And so there's like a flashback to like, and I guess her family's territory, some magic attacked and abducted some young ribbon candy lays as described. And Amaduro went to some of the posse to fight the magic. And then yeah, so Amaduro had fought that magic, and yeah. So but then like so that's when food so then Fuji Amaduro doesn't remember what happened when Fujimaya came towards him. And so obviously the basically Amaduro wants to save like the girls that are captured by that magic. Yeah. So yeah, then you have someone who's looking at these girls saying time to wake up Hakuri. And you have Fujimina's like cuddling up to Hakuri. Yeah, and Fujimine claims she wants to like possess Hakuri. And like yeah. So we'll see how these goes. And basically Hakuri just hates witches and even hates Fujimine. So we'll see how this goes. Looks like that's the next villain for the art. This next arc probably is going to be Hakuri. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Like so it looks like Amadero's trying to do some redemption, whatever. We'll see how this goes. Good chapter. Looking for next one. Spy Family, chapter 138. So in this chapter, so some of Anya's classmates are talking about how she's visiting, like Lloyd in the hospital, and some are like, oh, she's cutting class. And Damien thinks about how Donovan's been going to the hospital a lot. which is interesting because he's not been shown there. Donovan's not been shown. I feel like that would have been big news unless there's like some secret wing or whatever in the hospital. And so Damien's like, "Hey, Anya's visitor. What? There's nothing wrong with that." And he starts thinking about how he doesn't know anything about his father. Then goes back to like the parking garage where Nightfall sees uh Donovan, and so Nightfall's trying to figure out how to deal with it and how to keep Lloyd out of dealing with it because Lloyd would try to work, and so yeah, and so Lloyd and so basically she writes like a message for like Twilight, and then Nightfall thinks like Twilight would probably be upset if he try like things that Yor probably upset if Twilight tried to get out of bed, but Nightfall was like, whatever, he'll have to keep she'll do what she has to keep peace between the East and West because that's what Twilight wants is peace. And so some people arrive, to ask about the symposium. Nightfall gives them directions, and she tries to figure out where else she wants to follow, Donovan, but she been told to not kill him on her own. And she sees Don, asks if she'll be attending the symposium, and she offers, and she said, and the buyer's like, no, we're fine, thank you. So, it seems like Desmond's like business is in the general ward. Yeah. So the question is, why is he there? Yeah. And so basically, then obviously Nightfall's knows she has to be cautious. And so then Nightfall's thinking about how she is being watched by someone, and it's like, Anya, it's guidance from nurses, and Anya like thanks her for the sweets, and she's like, you're welcome. But Anya reads her mind about Desmond being there. She's wondering. So Anya tries to follow Nightfall, but but Nightfall takes her out of the elevator. Like, so the nurses try to guide her back to like Anya back to Twilight's hospital room, and then Anya's like, oh, she says she could find her way back by herself, and she sees like someone is like some old man's like feeling dizzy, probably sick, so the nurses try to help, and then Anya goes away, and then so Anya tries to go find Donovan, and I guess she stubs her knee for a little bit, cries a few seconds, and then gets back up, and starts thinking, if she's starting to think of where like reading Twilight's mind about like Melinda saying that Donovan could read minds. So Anya thinks maybe it's a battle of telepaths, or she says telepaths. And then Twilight's trying to walk out with all his like, what the even the stuff still injected to him. So it's like he obviously should be resting. Yeah, yeah. Nurse is chasing after him because he's trying to get to the lobby. Now I don't know where yours at, but yeah, I thought this was fun, funny chapter. So you have potentially Anya coming across Donovan Desmond, and since she's experiment 007, if Desmond sees her and recognizes her as experiment 007, that's gonna cause some problems. You know, yeah, that is like an insane, like that's gonna be insane what happens. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking for the next one. Under Doctor chapter 25. So in this chapter, so like Shuli like does the surgery on Haiji, and like he hasn't let anesthesia be used on him. He claims to be allergic to a type that they have left. So he guides Julie through like the surgery, and is surgery successful. And yeah. So once the surgery successful, but Julie's scared about how to handle it, but he Hygie encourages Julie, and Julie will do it. So when surgery's done, you have all the like the assassins, and one of the assassins has an injured leg, but it hit where it hit, like the bleeding could be really bad. So Hygie offers for says they have anesthesia left for one person, so Hygie wants to heal that one. So then some of their all siblings ask for like Hygie to save like their brother, like because I guess the oldest brother's the one that got hit. So and they realize that he was the under doctor. So you're like, oh crap. So then so the Hawkins Six, the police arrested them, and then the client was transported to a safe location. And then the Hygie got proper treatment at a hospital. And yeah, Shuli has like took the bullet, had put it on like a necklace, whatever, as like a symbol of resolve, whatever. And that's the how the chapter ends. So yeah, I thought it was a decent chapter. You know, the assassins were dealt with. They, as far as the mission successful, how that affects the rest of the series, I don't know. Obviously, it's probably show like how well Shuli's improved as a in the medical field, so maybe that plays a role later on in the series. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kiyoto's Magic, chapter 24. So in this chapter, the princess arrives in the city, whatever, and I guess she like so you have all these. There's like a whole festival going on, and you have all the adventurers. I guess are like trying to handle security, make sure nothing's going on, and you have so they're all keeping an eye on things, and then yeah, so like so everyone's like handling. So basically, it's almost whatever the last event is, it's almost time for that. Basically, the last event's like supposed to be a parade that all the townspeople take part of. Then whoever I guess the villain is like people the capital shall we play, and then there's like an emergency alert sent to all the security. There's a large amount of mana surrounding the capital, and there's like a bunch of monsters hanging that way, and it doesn't seem like it's a regular migration, so everyone should get outside and prepare for battle. And then, and, basically, one recommends for the ceremony postpone, but so like everyone else, whoever's keeping on them says like no, keep it going. They'll deal with the monsters. They don't want anyone interfering with the princess. And then, yeah, and basically, Lamia, who's like helping coordinate, and so is told to, you know, Zio doesn't even call because Zio's already there. Yeah. So everyone prepares to fight, and then like someone, it's like possessed tries to like some ladies like possessors trying to like dance with Kinato and then kiss him. And it's real. There's like a bunch of people who are possessed, and they gain control by the the control passes on through like kiss or whatever. A bunch of people are under the spell, so he uses this so Kinato uses the same magic to I guess heal people of that spell. Yeah, and then yeah, and so they try to figure out what's going on with all the brainwashing, whatever. So, and then it was like the villain's name is Dua, and it looks like he's going through the castle. The adventurers are scattered, and then there's like some secret where to create ancient magical weapons. Basically, what Dua needs is the blood, bones, and flesh of 100 mages, and then the heart of a young royal. So the princess is a target. We'll see how that all goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Like how they're setting up this battle. Start like whoever like these villains are. They're it's like to be one of the like it could be interesting. Probably maybe this is like an in-game thing, depending on how long this series goes on. I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Digimon Beatbreak, episode 39. So in this episode, Soji confronts Kyo, basically tries to get him to and so Kyo and Soji's Digimon fight, and then Soji wants Kyo to be like how he was, like cold blood, where he would like actually like kill people and delete Digimon, and so you have Glowing On like Rose's subordinates whatever try to attack Glowing On because they think they're hiding Kyo. They don't know where, and so Soji tells Kyo to like meet him again wherever Kyo had killed him, and so then Kyo confront goes towards the rest of Glowing Dawn and attacks him, saying he's leaving Glowing Dawn, and then fights him, saying if they try appear again, he'll actually kill them. So then the rest of Glowing go towards like where the like the bounty office, like the ministry. They go to the ministry's office and learn that, and then the rest. So some of their friends tell them that they saw Kyo find Soji, and they ask the minister about Soji, and the guy says, you know, there was someone named Soji, like a 5-star or whatever, and so that if Kyo hadn't attacked them, they probably would have made the rest of Glowing Dawn have bounties. So it's implied that Kyo attacked them in order to keep them from having bounties on them. And yeah, so it looks like stuff is getting dark. So I don't see what's going on. So it's like Glow and so then so everyone thinks Rose was cold hearted by Kyo because they only a 5-star could be in their 5-star, so they don't think anyone else would. So I see a lot of stuff's about to get on. So and then you had looks like Glowing Dawn is gonna the only one is gonna have to confront so the former leader tactics Clay, he's they confront him who's like him Clay's in prison, so they're gonna try to ask him about Soji, see what's going on. So that should be interesting. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Like how they're building up this arc. There's a lot of mysteries with Kyo's past, so we'll see how that goes. That was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Roku's House of Oddities, Chapter 15. So in this chapter, so Kabaneji tries to get a job so he could help, with paying the bills. And so he does all these interviews, but due to like him wearing the mask and all this stuff, he doesn't. And like all his like resume is just like different battles he fought in, so he can't really do much. Like he doesn't really have a much of a resume for employees, so he struggles with that. And then while he's sitting around, kind of not happy that he doesn't have a job, he helps stop a purse snatching. So he returns the lady's purse after beating up the guys that stole it. Then someone approaches him saying he's finally found him, and he reveals that the woman and child that were saved, um, a few chapters ago. Basically, this is that guy's that guy. The guy who approaches him is like the father of the kid, and when he hears about Common Edge, he tried not have find a job. And then he offers Kameneji a job as at like a convenience store. And then he Kameneji's able to like I guess act as like security while actually and doing other stuff that goes on with like convenience store work. Yeah, so then everyone else starts getting figuring out who's doing all these chores. So we'll see what's going on. And then it's funny you have obviously King is like, yeah, I'm not doing work. And the only thing he says he'll try to do is like bring in a newspaper. So it's all funny. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter, good little slice of life chapter. It's kind of funny how something happened a few chapters ago. Hobbit is getting a job off of like him saving someone. So we'll see how that goes the rest of this series. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz Chapter 13. So in this one, so it's like all the students are preparing to fight these heroes. It's a party of 6. And so of course they're there to fight the new Demon King's castle. And then so Kamo just goes down there, and then Valeris like is hurt or Valeris loses her memory, so she doesn't remember that she's like the Demon Lord. So Kamo claims to be like the new Demon Lord, and then like so starts and prepares like fight like the heroes, and then like so the fight happens, and then yeah, and Valeris summons like some monster or whatever. So Valeris uses her powers despite not remembering anything. It's kind of funny to see what happens. And then yeah, so we'll see how all that goes, like with this fight. So yeah, I thought it was a funny chapter on Dale Valeris losing her memories. Funny to see how she reacts to all that, and how everyone has to adjust to it. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Hal Formula Chapter 6. So in this chapter, so qualifying to was like about to start. You have a practice session. So it's basically the actual race hasn't started yet. There's practicing, you know, for the actual race. So you see the race, so you like Haruka, Kyogoku watch it together, and then yeah, and so yeah, then so Kyogoku tells Haruka that Kisai might win to cheer on for his brother, which is turns 1, 8, and 11 due to like I guess how the road is, how the track is designed. And so yeah, so Suzukaze prepares to start racing, and then the race starts. Like he's going through like the race. Kyogoku's interested in how Suzukaze handles things, and then yeah, and then yeah. So then basically like so he raced like very well. It looks like. So it's like he could tell, like, Kyogo says could tell that Suzukaze was focusing on preparing for Autopolis. Yeah. And then, of course you see Kyogo thinking about how the track works, like how is Suzukaze gonna handle it. So, he does it well, then like yeah. And then, yeah. So it's like he's about to get to turn 11. So it's gonna be interesting how the rest of this will, I guess, qualify or whatever it goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. You see, Guess they're not going straight into like the full race. They got the qualifying stuff, which makes some sense. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Grandmaster Chapter 5. So this chapter, Bar- Barat and Ruga start their duel. They put like the protective gear on. Ruga's obviously the favorite because a lot of people said Ruga's higher rank, and given his reputation, a lot of people assume he's gonna win. But Barat's able to dodge his attacks. He's able to gauge like his power level. Ur understands that's what he's doing. So people think Barat's just fleeing. Ur's like, no, he's just gauging his power and all that. And so then Barat's able to use like his flute, whatever, to like um you know debate him, debate Ruga, and then um Barat's actually able to like knock Ruga down, and then actually beat him. And so you see someone looking out wondering how Ruga looks at Barat is wondering how in the world was he able to be that powerful. He starts thinking Barat's almost like and he starts thinking of someone. He wonders how he's so powerful. So then someone walks in. I guess the guy was thinking about saying it was like someone's walking in, probably whoever this powerful fighter is. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. The duel was pretty short. Guess they didn't want to drag it on. Have it be like something that I guess, if this was an anime, it would be a full episode fight. They probably just wanted to be a quick, one chapter fight. And I say they handled it well. So I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Rick and Morty season 9, episode 9. So in this episode, Morty and Summer are like basically they're getting expelled for a lot of sci-fi like stuff happening. So like you have memory growth gum that caught when a lot of the students use it, they remembers like basically remember all the various like sex stuff they done, and then some ninja clones, and then something with toilets, and like probably Morty's learned how to do a substitution jutsu with with the log. So principal the principal vagina expels them, and Beth and Jerry they yell at the Summer and Morty, and Summer cuts on some mute to be all the adults. Then Rick comes in, and Rick then he turns like the principal into a carrot, and when he turns back into a carrot, principal's like, all right, yeah, they're not expelled. So Rick's idea is to send him to like some summer camp for spoiled rich kids, like guess scare him straight, whatever. So he takes him in his ship, and then he drops him off at the camp, and turns out the campers have murdered all the counselors and have taken over the camp, making be basically it's a giant party, and basically you're not allowed to leave the party. So and that so Morty and Summer first they enjoy the party, get high or whatever, and then it comes too much for them. They're like, all right, we gotta go. Now Jerry and Beth, they with them basically having no kids in the house, they sneak into Summer's room to find Summer drugs. So they find some drugs that it's like some forever high thing. So yeah, they get high, and then they try to figure out what to do, and then they call Rick. Rick takes the drugs and he gets high as well. So when Morty and Summer call for help, they ask for Rick, Jerry, and Beth arrive. They're high, so they try to deal with all the campers. And then there's all these adults that live near the camp that try to hold all the kids ransom, whatever. So then that gets dealt with, and then Space Beth arrives and gets them out and gets everyone back to the house. And yeah, Beth and Jerry, they're still high. They're asking Space Beth why she's not like why they're like she's not having sex with them anymore. Yeah, and basically then it like and Morty and Summer seeing all like the how high like Rick, Jerry, and Beth are. They're like, yeah, this is the only scared straight they needed. Like that's basically put. Yeah, I did not like this episode. Honestly, it just seems like that at this point, Harmon is just. I mean, look, obviously he signed he had that renewal for I think it was like 70 episodes after season 3, which with 7 more seasons. So obviously after this season there will be 10 more episodes. You know, and so obviously he's fulfilling the contract, which okay, he's fulfilling the contract, so he should do. But it seems like it just obviously comes across as just out of obligation. He doesn't seem like he actually like there's no creativity left. I mean, which is probably why you shouldn't get a 70 episode renewal. I mean, that's a little much. But yeah, yeah, but this episode, like, yeah. So, so this episode, like, it just wasn't good. I thought that like it was like it's not a good episode. Like, hopefully next episode's better. But I just have my doubts at this point. Like, I only know how this show will go on after that. The 70 episode renewal is finished. Which would be in season 10. I'll watch the next episode. Hunter x Hunter chapter 414. So in this chapter, so you see a martial law is starting. Um, basically it looks like things are picking up as far as the secession battle, and everyone's preparing to like basically start killing each other. It looks like, yeah, and so everyone's talking about how they handle it. So you have the bodyguards, you have the Hunter Association, and then yeah, you know, and then yeah, so then Kurapika is like talking, you know, about what's going, the whole deal with Wobble, like, 'cause that's a concern everyone has, due to like the curse from beyond. And since but if the requirement for the activating the curse is to officially participate in the session battle, Wobble will be affected by it. Yeah. And then, but if Wobble was at the participating in the Seed Urn ritual, then he's kind of Wobble's kind of screwed. Yeah, yeah. So now they also is possible that the baby that is there is cursed. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens because basically Kirby says maybe they should just ask Beyond. Maybe he could absorb Beyond's ability with his chain to figure out, you know. So and like if Kirby is unable to like clear the hurdle to absorb the curse, he'll die. Yeah. And then you have yeah. So basically like and he's told by that the basic condition for you know basically so for beyond like explaining everything is if the Hunter Association gives them a pardon, then basically apparently Netherose' last order as chairman was to bring a solution to the all the calamities that are going on. Yeah. So yeah, then basically one of the bodyguards recommends the Kurapika to set a trap of their own, and then if they could use this one lady's ability, and so yeah, the guy says he's not actually truly committed to what Beyond's doing. You know, yeah. So obviously we're gonna just try to figure out how they handle it. Deal with Beyond. Yeah. So obviously, what was missing, the basically was possibly planned that Wobble's brother wasn't aware of where Wobble was at, and so we'll see how a lot of things go. Yeah. So everyone's just talking about how they handle it, and he says we got to prove that everyone who leaves the ship loses eligibility, and then obviously you got to deal with like whatever's going on with like the Air Association, and then they got Kirby says they got to figure out if Wobble's a target, you know, basically you know they got to figure out what's like. Kirby got asked Wobble's if there's a way to contact someone in case of emergency, and yeah. It's like the worst possible case is like for Wobble to be on board and targeted by the curse, and then you know basically like you know yeah yeah Lasso's about to go down. Kurapika says he has friends he can trust more than anyone in his life, and he says they will protect the prince. So it's hinting that Kilika and Gon are coming back as it shows him at the end. So it looks like it's saying up finally for Gon and Kilika to actually be involved with what's going on. Because they've been MIA for the story for a while now. A lot of that does have to do with some of the height. A lot of that has to do with the hiatuses, also because they've taken forever with this freaking session battle. I mean, it's been decent chapters, but it's like, can we please hurry up with it? So yeah, I thought it was a decent chapter. Things are starting to pick up finally. Hopefully, they conclude this, this bit soon, and get to the new continent, whatever. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Let's go Kaikigumi episode 3. So in this episode, so the segments of this, you have some medium like targets, the protagonist and Michiko. So Michiko's been sick for days. The protagonist learns that there's like some tiny ghosts like basically around him. Basically, the medium had passed on those spirits to him. It's like a con artist, or whatever, and then protagonist is able to deal with the con artist, and he's arrested. You know, for like he's arrested for vandalism, whatever. And then Michiko's targeted by her cousin Shuriko, who wants to be the boss of of all the spirits, whatever. And yeah, but how so there's an orb that could seal the souls of middle-aged men who don't want to grow up. Now Michiko uses it on Shuriko and it turns her into like a chibi form. And then the protagonist later accidentally travels back in time and he meets like a younger version of Michiko. So yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, I thought it was a decent episode. However that time travel thing's gonna like handle things, I don't know. It's be interesting to see how that goes, but yeah, like if that time traveling is gonna affect the rest of the series, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was a decent episode, and the segments they were freaking funny. There's a lot of humor with what was going on, so I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one.
And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.